I am so disgusted with the committee. This is a Seminole team that has been craving since Jimbo, Mr. Fisher, decided to flee and go to Texas A&M. Jimbo's now no longer with the school because he was bought out. What I'm going to say about this is a serious notion of what the committee has done to college football. This is not about who's better, who deserves to be there. It's all about what coach they want in this college football playoff. Alabama has Coach Saban, all-time great coach, could retire at the end of this year. There were stories coming out before the year ended that he could be leaving after this year. And I understand they want to give him his last hurrah. Maybe he can ride off into the sunset. And I understand Michigan. Michigan is one of the best defensive teams in the country. McCarthy, who could be a first-round draft pick. Jim Harbaugh, who will probably flee after this year to the NFL, probably going to Vegas. Washington, who's really surprised everybody all season long. So many surprising wins. They have an all-world wide receiver. Their offense has been so fun to watch this year. And then there's the Texas Longhorns, a team that in the beginning of the year looked like they were a world beater. And then as the season moved forward, they started looking like a subpar team at best. They have a great young quarterback that's going to the NFL draft, and they have Archie Manning there. So everybody wants to see great old young Archie sitting on the bench. And maybe if something happens, some surprise happens. We've seen this with Alabama, with Tua. If Texas makes it to the championship game, their number one string doesn't play well. Hey, we'll see Archie in the second half. He wins a national championship. And there we go, the Manning story. I don't know what the committee was thinking here. Florida State has been the defined defense this year in all of football. They have 4 guys that could be first-round draft picks. Their front seven is as good a front seven as we've seen Florida State have in about 20 years. Since the 90s, my thought with the coaching in college football, it's all about the name. It's all about the money. College football is all about money. What are they going to bring in as recruits? Who they are. Besides Washington, all 3 of the other coaches are very well-known coaches. And all 3 of them were NFL coaches at one time. I could understand why the committee looks at that and say, you know what, that's why they're there. But I just don't understand when you look at the talent that Florida State showed this year. They used a true freshman in the last 2 games of the season. They beat teams that were top 15 talented teams with a third-string freshman quarterback. Does that show anything? Yes, they lost Travis. He's out for the season. He was one of the best quarterbacks at one point in the country before he got hurt. And losing him, yeah, it hurts the committee trying to vote. Why would we want to see a third-string quarterback or a second-string quarterback play? How about their defense is all worldly? Their running game showed, especially in that ACC championship. No, they didn't beat up in the ACC championship. They didn't beat up anybody. The numbers would show you they didn't pulverize their opponents. Defense is fantastic. It still sends a question to next year when there's 12 teams going to be there. If the committee doesn't like you, or they don't like the coach, or they don't accept the record to stand out all the top 15 teams that you play, and just because you have a third-string quarterback playing and you didn't think that they dominated that championship game, well, then the committee says, you know what, I don't like them. I don't know much about the coach. I don't think the coach is going to bring a national champion. It's no Urban Meyer. It's no Nick Saban. It's no Jim Harbaugh. Are they going to say, I just don't like that team. I don't want him in the college playoffs. Mike Norvell is not a superstar coach like we were naming, but the Washington coach is not a superstar coach either. They deserve to be there. They did what they needed to do to get into the top 4. As we remember last year, TCU snuck into the playoff, surprised everybody, knocked Michigan off, and then went to the national championship and got completely dominated by Georgia. Florida State wouldn't have been dominated even with a third-string quarterback. And by the way, they were not going to play a third-string quarterback. Their second-string quarterback, the concussion protocol, he was probably going to play in the college football playoffs. I understand why the committee decided to not accept Florida State. I just think you look at the position this committee was sitting on, I think they were absolutely wrong.